a way of communication from the president to desist and refrain from submitting a bill passed by the House to the president. Ghanaians are in to do comparison. Honourable members, as is stated in the case of Boy Fuel versus NTAC, that in all these matters, it is the substance that matters, not the form. May I have the pleasure to invite the nominee to take his seat. Members, I call upon the clerk of the committee to administer the oath.
I hereby administer the oath to the nominee. I,
Cassiel Ato Forson,
swear by the Almighty God.
Swear by the Almighty God.
That the evidence I shall give before this committee.
That the evidence I shall give before this committee.
Touching the matter in issue.
Touching the matter in issue.
Shall be the truth.
Shall be the truth.
The whole truth.
The whole truth.
And nothing but the truth.
And nothing but the truth.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Honourable members, as tradition demands, can we proceed to do self-introduction? Starting from the chair, my name is Bernard Ahiafo, Member of Parliament for Akachi South Constituency and the First Deputy Speaker of the 9th Parliament.
Honorable Emmanuel Makufibwa, Elembele.
Mahama Ayaraga, Boku Central.
Mahama Shaibu, Daboya Mankarabu.
Agnes Namomulate, Kruo.
Comfort Doyo Kuju, Ada.
Gideon Boako, I represent the people of the Tana North constituency.
Mahamang Tia Abdul Kabir, Wale Wale constituency.
Koko Asante, Etiwa West constituency.
Cheneboa Kodia Foko Manson Kwanta constituency.
Isaac Adongo, Bogatanga Central.
John Darko, Swami.
Dr. Steve Namwa, Nishiaso constituency in the Ashanti region.
Lawrence Sergeant Sam, Himal Wardenshire.
Michael Edu, Oferukroop constituency.
Samuel Kwekapem North constituency. Charles Forson, Tama Central.
Andrew Dachuite, Solatuna Calvary.
Titus Bayo, Lambuse constituency.
Jerry Ahmed Shaib, Wejak Bawi.
Al Hassan Kobragansa, Esik Modob Mbrakwa constituency.
Thomas Ampimnyako, Eso Jaman.
Richard Achampon, Bia East.
Al Hassan Omar, Zabzugu.
Patrick Yabuamo, Kankwe Central.
Kwame Abuja, MP for Adaklu.
Patricia Apieje, MP for Ascot.
Alexander Kwamena Afenyo Markin, MP for Efutu.
Honourable members, we have 11-member committee with 4 coming from the subject matter committees, and the rest are friends to the committee. Honourable members, may I ask the nominee to, you want the permanent?
Chairman, thank you. Just to make this point to the nominee, Dr. Forson, the practice of the House has always been that our leaders, because of the peculiar role they play, are treated in a certain way at vetting. Because you are going to hold the public purse and you are going to be the most important person in this government, the face of all that has to be achieved in terms of fiscal policy, governance, spending, etc. Please bear with your colleagues for some specific matters of policy. I just want to assure you that this right of yours has not been waived, and I would want you to be assured over and over again that that is what all leaders since 1997 have gone through. I watched the vetting of G.H. Mensah. I watched that of Alban Kingsford-Smart Babin. I watched that of Honorable Meche Mensah Bonsu. I watched that of Honorable Harun Idrisu, Honorable Benjamin Kumbo. So yours will not be an exception, as in you being denying that. But there are some policy issues that the Ghanaian public will know because of the portfolio you are going to occupy. So please indulge us. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. May we proceed? Nominee, may you tell us about yourself?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, my name is Cassiel Ato Forson. I represent the good people of Ejumakon Enyan Esiam. In fact, I have represented them since 2009. So this is my 17th year in representing my constituents. I'm a third born from a family of my mother's side of 7. I have a wife, I have 4 children. I'm currently the leader of the majority side of NDC, majority side of Parliament. I'm also serving as the leader of government business as we speak. I have served in the past at the Finance Committee, of which I served 6 years as the ranking member of the Finance Committee. I've been a Deputy Minister of Finance for 4 years, and I've been a minority leader in the last 2 years. Thank you very much.
Leader, I noticed that in your CV, your name is Cassiel Ato Forson. The letter from the Secretary to the President, which letter I interrogated, also has the same. But when you introduced yourself, you said you are Ato Forson. Have you abandoned the Cassiel? Maybe I didn't hear. So,
Honorable member, My name is not Cassiel. My name is Cassiel.
Okay, very well.
I can't abandon my first name.
Cassiel.
Cassiel Ato Forson.
Good.
Thank you.
I've been saying Cassiel. So Cassiel Ato Forson. Very well. Great. Thank you.
Minority Leader, you know by the rules, you need to catch the eye of the chairman of the committee. So, tap me. If you tap me, I'll give you the floor.
Chairman, this is your baptism of fire. I don't think that. Wait. Chairman, wait. Chairman, take it easy. If you want to be publicly subjecting your leader to rules, you know, when it comes to procedural jurisprudence, it's an area I don't run away from. So please, I beg of you, don't let us start from there. I know you said it on a lighter note, but because the public is following procedures, yes, I beg you, don't be saying that. Thank you.
Honorable.
Thank you. Congratulations, Honorable. Chairman, I want to plead with you to make sure that those with you, especially the ranking or the leadership, will indeed catch your eye, as you said, because some of the interjections will not be helpful. For example, the Honorable Afenyon Makin, when he was introducing himself, mentioned his full name without the new addition he has brought on the floor or signing. We are not, nobody jumped to ask whether he has abandoned that name. So frankly, well, whatever it is, you should have added it. It's officially added. So the point I'm making is that, please, if you want to make interjections, please leave certain things that you know are not necessary.
Chairman.
So we can move and make progress.
Chairman, the nominee is in the chair, please.
Honourable members, the nominee is in the chairs. And I will proceed to take a question from the subject matter committee members. I am guided by the minority leader and the ranking member that the first person to start questioning is Koko Asante. By the rules, you have to ask 3 questions. And supplementary question will be subject to the discretion of the chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Honorable nominee, congratulations.
Thank you.
I know you mean very well for the country, Ghanaians. You've been a deputy minister, so I know you come with a lot of experience. But honorable nominee, I'd like to just indicate that your answers here carry a lot of weight. The investor community, both local and international, are watching and listening to every statement that you make here today. So I just want to, I know that you'll be mindful. Of course, there's no pressure. My first question, Mr. Chairman.
Well, honorable members, when you are asked to ask question, proceed to ask the question and let's limit the commentaries.
Thank you, Mr.
Chairman,
Chairman.
wait.
I just wanted to congratulate.
Wait. Please put off your mind. Chairman, with the greatest respect. Chairman, it's not just a guide. The member is a new member. We have all practiced at the bar. We know what some of these things do to a person on his or her feet. I beg of you one more time. We are here to cooperate with you. Let's be tolerant. You've been in the minority before. You know what it is. Because this vetting, although it is majority, minority, you know that the work itself is being done by the minority. So please allow members to flow. I beg of you. I want us to have a very decent engagement and be stable in all we're doing. I'm begging you.
Honorable Patrick Bowman.
Chairman, thank you very much. I think the finance minister's position, like Honorable Koko rightly said, is very, very important. We know what the leader is made of. But sometimes some foundations ought to be laid to guide the nominee in his answers. Because she said the investor community, both locally and internationally, will be watching and listening. And these are very important partners in our growth program. So if she's going to ask a question that the investor community will be interested in, please, she ought to be given the opportunity to lay some foundation to the question. It doesn't hurt anybody. Thank you.
Honorable Abuja.
Chairman, I just want to appeal to all colleagues, especially the respected minority leader. I've been around this table and I saw when Honorable Ato Forson was the ranking and Honorable Joe Wise was the chair. What I saw was I didn't see Honorable Ato Forson trying to be co-chair. At the moment, so far, people watching might think you are a co-chair. So I'm just appealing to you. Your role in this is very important. Without a doubt, it's very important. So for the viewing public, we'll just plead that the two of you should manage such that the interaction between the two of you does not appear as if there's a struggle for power. So I don't have much to say that. We have started well, but if possible, let there be one chair which we all defer to, and then we can make progress. So we good. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Honourable members, we had a preliminary meeting and we agreed on the roadmap. Therefore, I will not be happy where the committee will resume work and will be denigrating. So, honourable members, ask a question. Please proceed to ask your question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
As I've taken, I notified. Chairman,
the ranking cannot interject anytime you speak. It's completely out of order. You cannot interject anytime the chairman speaks. You are not the chairman of this committee.
Chairman, thank you very much. I tapped you for your leave, and I didn't just get up to make an input. Chairman, also with the greatest respect to you, in all humility, please, this situation where you are more or less directing the member, please, I would not co-chair with you. I know my position. I'm the ranking. Would appreciate so that the member, the nominee himself, will also appreciate the question. So I am pleading with you. I would not co-chair with you. I have cooperated with you thus far. I will not stand in your way. We are in this together. But utmost respect to you. Please. Thank you very much.
Please proceed to ask your question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Honorable nominee, you're on record. Additional financing from the IMF. What proposal do you intend to present to the IMF?
I did not say I am going to request for additional financing from the IMF. Inaccurate. What I said was we could request for additional finances if the need arises. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next question.
My second question is one of the major sources of revenue to fund development. As a matter of fact, one of the conditions of the IMF, the current arrangement with the IMF, is to enhance promised Ghanaians to scrap a number of taxes. So how do you intend?
Nominee, the floor is yours.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. And Mr. Chairman, let me say it's an excellent question. Mr. Chairman, Ghana currently collects approximately 13.8% of GDP in terms of tax revenue. According to that, we can do without mentioning a word, access, before you rake in revenue. We have the handles. What we need to do is to improve compliance. I will work with the JRA, the tax policy unit of the Ministry of Finance, to ensure in the medium term, it is my vision, when approved, to increase the revenue from 13.8, tax revenue from 13.8% of GDP. Potentials are out there. It does that we are going to scrap certain tax. And what it should. For example, scrapping 50 million Ghana cedis will not mean anything in a way that will affect the imposition of such a tax. And so I believe that scrapping such a tax will not necessarily affect the forward march of the Ghanaian economy. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Your last question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Historically, the private sector still complain of differently. What are you going to do differently to ensure the private sector? Thank you.
I said this because if the country look at the T-bill market today, every single week we roll over 111 billion Ghana cedis. And if you were to roll over 111 billion Ghana, that interest rates sometimes immediately work to bring inflation down. And then also work in such a way that we can stabilize inflation, stabilize the exchange rate, and create jobs. Until we do such a thing, certainly the concerns you've raised will still be there, and waste. And if you cut the waste, certainly you'll be able to, you will not be able to, you will certainly go to the market in a careful way that you will not be borrowing as much as you are, in a way that interest rate will.
One follow-up question.
You said in a response to our respected colleague's question about tax revenue that I
did not say that.
I just want you to clarify the point then.
I said we do not necessarily have.
How do you juxtapose that within the context of your previous position, policy by the previous government, where the whole intent was to free, you held a position strongly against that incentive, that taxes be necessarily imposed that are imported for manufacturing in the country and all others. How do you juxtapose that?
Mr. Chairman, my Yarga is on point of order.
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chairman, the nominee did not say that taxes should not be imposed on raw materials. The issue was whether or not taxes already imposed should be received or exempted by this House. So let's communicate accurately.
Thank you very much. Are well known. I do not intend to hide from that, and I won't hide from that. Mr. Chairman, tax exemption is gradually becoming a major source of tax expenditure in our fiscal framework. Unfortunately, it's not properly targeted, and so you see a situation where we exempt huge volumes of our taxes to particular companies. At the same time, because we are exempting those taxes, we end up increasing these tax rates for so many other people to pay. I believe everyone else must be given the opportunity to pay taxes. My concern, particularly with the one that you are making, I do not believe that certain individuals must be privileged enough to get tax exemptions, whilst others doing the same should not be given the opportunity to. Exemption for 1D, 1F. They should put main concern, particularly my criticism against the 1D, 1F, has to do with the opaque manner that it has been done in the past. And I still stand by that. If the government, or if this current government still believes that tax exemption is in the law, let everyone benefit from it. But don't pick and choose and decide who should benefit from such a tax exemption. I think it's wrong, and taxation must be fair. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Your last follow-up question.
Chairman, thank you. Leader, I'm making this point as a result of what you just said. But for the records, and Honorable Yabuama is here. He chaired the committee. You may recall that as a result of those concerns, government at the time was able to meet those concerns to the extent that there was even a waiver on one item, raw materials, of the whole exemption. And would you say that it was purely political because those concerns were addressed? But you still...
When these taxes were introduced, tax exemptions were introduced to us in this House, initially we were called upon to exempt approximately $458 million. Upon my insistence, the Minister of Finance went back to working together with the Minister for Trade and brought it down to about $100 million, $400 million. About 350, there was the need for us to do more. And that 100 million, I could still see things that I disagree. And so, Mr. Chairman, I have no regrets, and I think us to grant some of those, not champion this alone. Let me also use this platform to pay tribute to Honorable Kweku Kwati. Honorable Kweku Kwati was instrumental. If we can save 558 million, look at Accra Kumasi Road. We could use that money to fix the Accra Kumasi Road. I think it wasn't necessary for us to approve that tax and those concerns. It's not personal, it's not political, but we did it with the right intention, obviously for God and country. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's now the turn of Honorable Foko Junibua.
Honorable Cassiel Ato Forson, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Being nominated as Minister Designate for Finance. Can you tell us how you are going to fund the government machinery, given that now there is no appetite for lenders to give money on long term, and the money market segment, government machinery. Lenders are not ready to give long term. The money market end is already crowded. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, in the short term, we need to bring confidence. Immediately introduce a very strong budget, signaling that we are ready to do the heavy liftings. That first budget will indeed send the right signal that Ghana is ready to open our doors for investors to come into the country. I believe if we are to introduce inflation down to 8% plus or minus 2, in doing so, we'll be able to reopen the domestic bond market so that we can move away from the over-reliance of the treasury bill market. And so we'll be able to, and the Eurobond. And so where you do not have financing, then there's the need for you to look within. Let's deal with expenditure. Well, we can also do it here. My proposal is let's look at the expenditure side as well. It shouldn't always be borrowing and borrowing and borrowing to the waste, so that we live and stay within the envelope that we can. But when push comes to shove, obviously, we will work with our development partners, such as the Africa Development Bank, the World Bank, the European Union, and other bilateral agencies, including the IMF, to raise cheaper sources of financing to finance government expenditure, particularly where expenditures that can lead to a proper growth and inclusive growth. Thank you.
Minister Designate. My second question, you've already given a hint on it, which relates to tax exemptions, or what I would expect you to tell this committee is that the Exemptions Act of 2022, Act 1083, allows the states to take, though the acts under your regime, you'll be bold entities that come for tax exemptions. You'll be ready to go in for equity stake for this country. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, Honorable Abina will bear me witness to set the tone and allow to implement the Tax Exemption Act, particularly the portion that allows government of Ghana to take equity stake. So we've done once. Someone who insists that tax exemption must also count, you can count on me that I will do whatever it takes, that when push comes to shove, that we have to grant tax exemption. The country must benefit. You can count on me. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. So everyone has heard and will be watching. My third question. You know, it is commonly known that we generate really nothing much from the year budget of 2024. If you look at page 107, you realize that tax from 0.113 billion cedis, period, just about 1.572 billion cedis. So this is a ratio of 13 to 1. So 13 times what we get from. What would you do practically to close this gap? A gap of 13 to 1. What would you do practically?
I remember this is a very valid question and very interesting one. I think there's a genuine concern. First, we need to formalize the informal sector. Second, we need to encourage them to formally register with the Revenue Authority. And third, we need to incentivize them. We can learn from Uganda. Uganda has been able to incentivize the informal sector. And as such, they are collecting more taxes from the Uganda did was to agree through tax education that a percentage of whatever you pay will be used as your pension contribution, even as the informal sector. And so my proposal is, why can't Tuiton scheme, where you will plow back, let's say 30%, it doesn't mean quote me for 30%, let's say 30% of your pension scheme, of which you benefit when you go on retirement. These are options. And we have to learn from best practices. Let's see what has been done elsewhere to formalize the informal sector and to incentivize them to pay. The options are there. I'm open for advice. I will listen, and I'm ready, as when approved as minister, to work with all of you to see what we can do to allow the informal.
Thank you very much. I will then move to the majority side, starting from Honorable Isaac Adongo.
Thank you very much, Chairman. But also to thank His Excellency for the privilege to bring a thoroughbred finance person from this house. When I was invited, I asked myself, what questions are there to ask Honorable Ato Forson? Because we have always been on this side. All I can say here is
the
that
commentary and go straight to the question.
I believe that my colleagues are better placed because I know your quality and what you bring up.
Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. Leader, congratulations. I've worked with you since 2013 to date, so I know what you stand for. So, Mr. You plan to address the country's fiscal challenges and ensure debt sustainability. Thank you very much.
Honorable Nominee, your answer.
Mr. Chairman, Ghana's debt management in the past few years has been a major cause of concern. It is sad to know that the country has gone through a very difficult. We had to raise. We intend to establish an independent debt management office. But in the meantime, February, about 6.8 billion Ghana cedis will be due for payment. It is our responsibility to make sure we pay. And the Ministry of Finance, I believe, at this time are preparing to make that payment. I will work with the Ministry of Finance of the crisis we faced in 2022.
Much. Any further question?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, for giving me the opportunity to ask the nominee. I will begin by congratulating the Honorable Leader for this high office being nominated to. I would want to find out from the Honorable Nominee his general vision for revenue mobilization We've heard bits and pieces, and it's exciting to hear more what your vision is. Thank you.
I worked under Honorable Setepe for 4 years, an astute tax practitioner. As a result, we saw our revenue and seeing the way our revenue increased in the shortest possible time. I'll go by the same approach, but aside that, I would dedicate considerable amount of my time towards revenue mobilization. Ministers of Finance often have not paid enough attention to revenue mobilization. I think we should not allow GRA alone to mobilize the revenue. The Ministers of Finance will have a role to play, and I'll play such a role. As I said, I will dedicate considerable amount of my attention.
I only want to wish the nominee very well.
Thank you. Members, it's now the turn of Honorable Abana Osei Asari to pose a question to the nominee. You have the floor.
Thank you very much. I see you are smiling because they're firing questions at me. But I want to use this opportunity to congratulate you. I think you have worked bravely moving forward. So I wish you well. Just one or two questions, and that will be it because Minister yourself. And I know that a lot of decisions will rest or come from you. I remember that in 2023, during the budget, you mentioned the fact that November 21st, 2024, and during the transition, we shared some economic data with you. You agree with me that we exceeded revenue. Same GRA exceeded revenue by, I think, 400 million to, it was 178 billion or so. They exceeded by 400 million Ghana cedis. The economy grew from 2.9% in 2023 down to 23.2% from 23.8% in December. The banking sector in 2024, October, a negative of 7.5% in the same period last year. The primary balance has improved from a deficit to a surplus, and we live in a reserve of 7.7 billion, representing 3.5 months of import cover compared to the 2 points, the debt restructuring sector, the private bid, 60 days. So I can call him a friend. And so, my dear friend, with this data that you have been...
Honorable Minister, nominee, over to you.
Mr. Chairman, it's early days yet to make a pronouncement on the 2024 outturns. As we speak, there's no outturn for 2024 because whatever you have is preliminary and cannot be said that is outturn. I say this because the transition numbers she's presenting. We did a transition. I heard her talk about revenue. But revenue alone will not give you a picture of the fiscal deficit. You will need to correspond it with expenditure. I'm also aware that between 30th to 31st, we saw the controller paying out about 18 billion cedis. So 18 billion, I don't want to speculate. I will wait for NDA numbers, and then I'll present so, if approved, to Parliament. Mr. Chairman, I want to learn from the former president, Sikam Bedide, present the true picture of the economy. I don't want to speculate at this point. Let's wait for our turns, and the budget will be read maybe next month, so that we don't use this podium to create speculation. And to add to what the first questioner said, very sensitive to the market, and so let's be careful not to speculate. I don't want to be pushed to speculate. So
Honorable nominee, you know the rules. What is the meaning of Sikam Bedide?
Mr. Chairman, the former president spoke in French and Cree. I don't understand. I'll wait for that.
Thank you very much.
Yes, Mr. you may Chairman. Proceed with your next question.
So, Mr. Chairman, I'm glad my friend has confirmed this, because in November 2023, the numbers presented were also provisional and yet he was able to make a declaration on it. And so, but in November 2023, the numbers based on which he made that statement were also provisional.
Honorable former Minister, is that your next question?
Can I land, Your Excellency? And so, I mean, that's by way of just letting him know that today he's saying that he will wait, not speculate, but in November 2023, these were the same provisional numbers that we gave out, and yet he was able to make a declaration of the true state of the budget. Thank you, my brother. Okay, I move to my second question. And my second question is about resetting Ghana. That's you. Yes. There's a saying that once you first fix your macroeconomy, all other things will fall through. And then prioritize microeconomy. Looking at the current macroeconomic situation, can you say, as you suggested, that it is going to remain the same, that we have fixed the macro such that you can start to give out in your manifesto? I just want you to share with us what you think you will do that for you, and then you want to ride on the back of that.
Thank you very much. You may proceed to answer.
Mr. Chairman, I want to leave this with us. Ghana is not out of the woods yet. In fact, we are still in the woods. And there's a lot more work we have to do, as long as the macro is concerned. But it's important for us to understand that you don't only grow the economy from the macro. You grow the economy also from the micro. You don't necessarily create jobs only from the macro. You create the micro. Mr. Chairman, it is overly concentrated on the macro economy. I think we need to get back to basics. If you want to fix the city and you fail to, we need to deal with it. Yes, you can use the macro to deal with the short-term challenges. But what about the micro? Now your oil revenue is dwindling, becoming stranded. What are you doing at the micro side to support the economy? What are you doing? You have a cocoa industry that is collapsing, moving from 968,000 metric tons per annum to less than 500,000. What are you doing? These are micro issues that we have to deal with. And I believe that ministers of finance, but ministers of finance must and will have to also pay attention to the economic development mandate of the ministry. So, and when approved, with your help, I would dedicate once again a considerable amount of my attention towards the development of the microeconomy, the rest sectors of our economy, to help create jobs and stabilize our currency. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Before your next question, Honorable Boa has a follow-up question. You are done.
Due to the city's stability, and it's really a matter of...
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, Bank of Ghana alone cannot anchor the Ghana city. The Ministry of Finance will have to play a critical role in anchoring the Ghana city. Mr. Chairman, in the shortest possible time, it is our responsibility to make sure we reduce inflation to 8% plus or minus 2, the target band, in the shortest possible time. Inflation, 8% plus or minus 2. And we'll do that expenditure-based, let me put it this way. And when we're able to do that, it will help the central bank, the monetary authorities, to be able to save reserves and be able to protect the city or come in to intervene when the need arises. As a country, we need to sustainably anchor the Ghana city with a number of policies. And then DC, through our manifesto, we've announced a number of them. First is the establishment of the Ghana Gold Board, so that we can use the gold in a way to bring in the forex, the needed forex to support the city in the very short term. Second, as part of sure that happens, I believe the cocoa and the palm industry will also go a long way to support, bring in the needed forex to support. In fact, cocoa had been the mainstay of our economy over the years until recent that the forex is not coming in. We have to do some work, obviously, with the non-traditional export as well, and most importantly for me, for petroleum. You agree with me that in the last 8 years we've not been able to bring on stream any additional oil field. That is a major forex to support our role. So we will sustainably anchor the city by ensuring that these major policies are introduced in the shortest possible time to ensure that we can have a stable city. And that's my priority. As I've said, and I've said it so many times, that is a priority, and I'll work to make sure that happens. Thank you.
Now, Honorable, your last question.
Be a good board being set up. And we also know that Bank of Ghana is also having this gold reserve program. So is it a new name for an existing program, or Bank of Ghana would have to halt the current gold reserve program to enable you implement the initiatives in your manifesto? This is just by the way. But my last question is this, my brother. You mentioned that you're going to work very well to improve our revenue measures and increase revenue from the 13.8% or tax to GDP to 16% of the ministry. That in the medium term revenue strategy policy, that in the medium term, we're going to take Ghana from the current position where we are to about 20%. And I hope that you find time to look at it, and where you need to tweak it a bit, tweak it and make sure at the end of the day, it is the revenues that will accrue to Ghana to enable us to what is expected of us. You also mentioned that you're going to cut the waste. But you know, in the public sector, expenditure composes of, that is my question I'm asking. You're going to cut the waste. I'm afraid this is what we have. And unless you want to say you want to rationalize expenditure, but if you say you're going to roll out this big expenditure and take it,
Honorable member, you are answering question. You are not asking question. You are making statements.
I am laying the preamble to answer.
The preamble cannot be a thesis.
Because you will need that. Respectfully, Mr. Chairman. What I'm saying is that in your manifesto, you mentioned some big expenditure items. That one, you're going to implement an economic transformation agenda, a framework for industrialization of your manifesto, and your holy grail, that is the 24-hour economy. So with your position of cutting waste and this huge expenditure ticket items in your manifesto, how do we reconcile the two? Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. Mr. Chairman, as for the waste, we'll cut it. And it has to be cut. It has to be cut in such a way that you will not hurt growth and you will not hurt the vulnerable. But we will cut it. Mr. Chairman, I've been in this house for years, 60 years. During this period, I've learned a lot. I learned under Minister Tekpe. I've served on the minority leader for 2 years. Now I'm the majority leader. No one can convince me that our budget does not have waste. We need to cut them. We need to come together, identify them, and cut it. Mr. Chairman, the question is, the waste benefit only a select few. And then its unintended consequences affect all of us as a nation. It ends up breeding fiscal indiscipline, high budget deficit, financing, and in the end, we've seen the outcome. Haircuts. That's the outcome. But let me say that going forward in an open manner, so that together we can work to save our country. Yes, the Honorable Abena made a point that their medium-term revenue strategy from 13.8 to 20% in the medium term, 2 to 3 years, is very steep. Very steep. 13.8% of GDP to 20% is extremely steep. I'm not saying we cannot, but I will work to achieve it. But let me say that 13.8% to 20% is extremely steep. Have you been able to do it in 8 years? The answer is no. And so, unless it is domestic revenue, and it is in our interest to increase revenue, and we'll do whatever it takes to increase those revenues. Some of the parliament working with us will be able to set up a ceiling of government contracts that must go through independent value for money analysis that will be owned by the state. I think that must be done. And it will be the beginning of cutting the waste. And Honorable Abena, I recognize that you've served at the Ministry of Finance for 8 good years. During this period, I know, so that we can cut them appropriately. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's now the turn of Honorable Mahama Shaibu.
Nomination. The motivation that you have to give. So major players in our business industry getting out of the country. The available data indicates that the last window of the government treasury bill was oversubscribed by over 2 billion. Can you tell us what plans and measures you have to boost investor confidence? Thank you.
From our conversation, particularly with the private sector, a lot of things came out. Distorted VAT, an unfriendly working environment. I believe we need to listen once again to the investing community and the private sector, to boom. From the bond side, I don't know if you meant by the money market side, the bond side, about credit rating. Faster. How do you improve the credit rating? Your fiscal will play a role. And signaling to them that you are ready to do things differently. I've signaled already that we will undergo an expenditure base, strong, front-loaded fiscal consolidation in the shortest possible time, so that together we can send a strong signal to the market, particularly when inflation is reduced. Today, it is very difficult for us to go back to the bond market. But for us to go back there, domestic bond market, I mean, for us to go back there are a few things we need to get. 23.8, the highest in the last 8. Why has inflation become so stubborn? And I think it's a question we need to ask. And what do we have to do to be able to bring inflation to a target start? And we know exactly what we have to do. I need your nod. I need your support. And together, particularly the ordinary Ghanaian out there who's struggling. So I'm open, very open for ideas and to listen to you. I come to this job, apart from my personal experience, but I worked under an astute finance minister, the Honorable said, who's like a father to me. I'll reach out anytime, and there are a lot of people. And Honorable Abena is here, sister and all. Honorable, whatever it takes, we'll do it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I will now give the floor to Honorable Alassane Umar.
Thank you, Chairman, for giving me this opportunity. Mr. Nominee and Leader, congratulations. I have a question on public debt. On the mid-year review, 2024 mid-year policy review, is 742 billion cedis as of today. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. Mr. Chairman, I know it's a matter of concern to most of us, but I can assure you, don't be despaired. We'll do whatever it takes to clear the... I've looked at the domestic maturities carefully, and you can see that as a result of the debt restructuring, the repayment, no interest, 12.6 billion Ghana cedis, domestic. 2026, you have to repay. You have to pay 53 billion, and 2028, 48 billion. So you could see the harms that has been created. It's frightening and worrying. You have similar harms that has been created that are coming up. From next year, you'll be compelled to pay every year $1 billion from the Eurobond market. From the bilateral official creditors, we don't know yet because they've not signed the MOU and all. I with it. What I can say is that we need to urgently go back to the drawing board to see refinance. Currently, we do not have buffers to take off some of this debt as and when. We have to learn from the past how to build buffers. And his famous sinking fund, when you have the need to save for during good times to take care of eventualities or during bad times. With the same, to the extent that when buffers for the incoming administration, we did just that. Today, for the external side. For the domestic side, I don't know of any buffer. But nevertheless, and as I've said, don't be despaired. We will manage this debt. His Excellency, the former president, in his last State of the Nation address said that he did not expect the incoming finance minister to default. I want to use this podium to assure the former president that we will not default. We are very much aware of the harms that has been created. It's not palatable. It's worrying. For example, you need to always, every week in, week out, go into the T-bill market and refinance 111 billion Ghana cedis. Week in, week out. 91 days, you have to refinance 51.6. 182 days, you have to refinance 24.6 billion. And 364 days, you have to refinance 34.9 billion. So, or probably rover. Aside the domestic payment debt that I spoke about. But we will implement an effective debt management program, and we will establish an independent and going forward, avoid past mistakes. I think that is very important. I think we don't have to dwell too much with the past. The past is behind us. We have a country to take care of. We have citizens that are struggling. And so we'll focus on the way forward and forward march of our people and do what is right. But be assured, we'll manage the debt better.
Thank you very much. Any more questions from Omar? Honourable members, against to welcome a question from Sami Auku, a friend to the committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I would like to just ask a follow-up question, if it pleases Mr. Chairman, and then I can go on to my substantive. Congratulations, Honourable Nominee.
Mr. Chairman, no. The leader of the minority made a valid point to allow a question from a non-member of the committee. Against the existing protocol, the chairman agreed for the person to answer to ask a question. It is not a follow-up question before his substantive question. That is not allowed. So go on and answer your question. That is I think I'm.
Chairman, today is Monday morning. In the majority, with all of you in the majority, no attempt should be made to intimidate my members, especially the new ones. Honorable Kwame Govins Agboja, you are an experienced legislator. What you just did, you knew the effects of what you just did. When I try to take the power from the chair, and then when I'm reacting, you say I'm being like a co-chair. Don't let us go there. We have started a good morning. Tolerate us enough, the scrutiny. And we understand you are in government. Scrutiny would largely be done by the minority and the opposition. So please, in all humility, Mr. Chairman, I need to finish. I allowed Honorable Govins Agboja to France. And if you are in government and you still act as though you are in opposition, would have it. Would have it. If your style will be to be attacking me, you will have it. You would have it.
Point of order. Chairman,
if you think that you are still
on our side, you have been asked. Now, the former
don't have the floor.
Chairman, I would accord every member of all of us this point. For us to get here in good faith. The letter got to us in Parliament. An advert was done. We cooperated for this vetting tomorrow. Some exigencies. I convinced my side that there is a need for the new government. I still have communications asking me, leader, why are you changing from Tuesday to Monday? I am here to do the people's work with my team. This posture of attack on me, colleagues, Chairman, with the greatest respect and point of order, when go and watch Bagwe, let's watch Haruna Idrisu. Guys, I don't want a situation where it will be like Markin wants to do this and that. I understand attempt to use some attacks to frustrate. It won't work. And we are not going to boycott proceedings. As Honorable Govins Agboja once said on the floor, even laying paper, even for him to oppose, he says that there will be chaos. That was his threat. We know what he did to... I know what they did to this 67-year-old woman who was then the chair of the appointment committee, our mother. We know tolerance. If you don't want to tolerate us and you don't want to accommodate and you are talking about rules, then we'll also go by the rules strictly. I would end here. Chairman, thank you. And
thank you very much, Honorable Member. Thank you very much. Sitting as the chairman of the appointment, I am using my discretion to allow. I am asking you to ask a question. And to ask a question does not give you room to ask supplementary question before the main question. It's an abuse of the opportunity being given to you. May you proceed and ask your question.
Mr. Chairman, Chairman, you are an advocate. You do a lot of cross-examination. You cannot raise your voice on a member. He's a first timer. When he makes a mistake, let's correct him in a manner that would encourage him to enjoy Parliament. He's a new member. Please, with the greatest respect, I know it was not your intention, but knowing you when you get your client in a tight corner, how you deal with them, I beg you, this is not your client. I beg you. No, that is so.
Mr. Chairman, honourable member, ask your question.
Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. But first of all, I did not even make a mistake in the first place. Just for the records, I did seek leave.
Go ahead and ask the question,
and
please.
Once it wasn't approved, then I proceed to my substantive. That's all, Mr. Chairman. And thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, for the clarity. And I will proceed. Honourable Nominee, I would like to refer you to a publication on the 15th of March 2021. And I want to paraphrase because I don't want to miss any word. And I quote, Ghana today, we are complaining that this gambling is destroying our youth. I've read a number of said, and this was a quotation attributed to you, Honourable Nominee. I want to ask and proceed on this. Do you still stand by this position of banning gambling and banning? That's what I wanted to ask.
I was on a show with the Honourable Kojo Opon Nkrumah, and the contest must come out. The responsibility to sell a government policy on betting. And he said, I'm surprised you are not, because it is destroying our youth, and that the government is introducing this betting tax to tax so that they will not be staking the bet. I retorted on a show being hosted by, that will not solve the problem because I've read a number of articles, and the article presupposes if you want to introduce a tax, you have to first look at the elasticities. and as to whether the elasticities will mean that imposing such a tax will prevent the individual or the people concerned from the staking of the VAT, of the betting or not. But I doubt that will. And so if you intend doing that, the best option have been vindicated. Has the tax solved the problem as intended by the government? Big no. I insist that the betting.
We don't do that in Parliament. We say here.
No, but they are not.
You have to say that
the next person is Honorable Mama Area.
Okay,
yes. Mama Area.
I thought somebody was my friend until I was given an opportunity to ask a question. And she started my leader. My real question was to ask you how prepared you are of economic challenges. After listening to you within these few minutes, I thought it wise to abandon my question. Because even before asking, you have made the problems of Ghana with greater expertise and finesse than we have seen in the past. What my brother and former majority leader and now minority leader raised in his thesis that he read before we started. Will you abolish the e-levy?
Thank you very much. I do not intend to run from it. I've written articles against the e-levy. I championed opposition against e-levy, direct tax, indirect tax, or an excise tax. I don't know how to classify the e-levy as a tax practitioner. Mr. Chairman, it doesn't mean that I do not recognize that the e-levy brings in certain revenue. But the fact remains that the e-levy retards our progress towards a cash-light economy and the fintech. We need to abolish the e-levy. I have said, and I'm on record to have said, that given the opportunity to abolish the e-levy, announce that we will abolish the e-levy as part of our first budget, recognizing my earlier stance and the commitment that His Excellency the President Mahama, said that as part of our 120 days agenda, we will abolish the e-levy. We stand by that, and I can assure you the e-levy will go within the 120 days calendar that we've announced. Thank you.
Thank you. Question relating to abolishing e-levy.
Thank you, Chairman. Chair, my respected colleague and leader, in the e-levy would amount to government losing revenue. How does he make up for the loss in revenue?
Thank you very much. Your answer to the question, please.
Mr. Chairman, I think you have a choice of both. Remove the e-levy and replace it, or remove the e-levy, don't replace it, and cut corresponding expenditure. The option is on the table. As minister, I will obviously consider the e-levy holistically and the fact that it's going and look at its impact.
Intimated he has a further supplementary question.
Chair, my respected colleague, Legend One, he says that it's not always about revenue but expenditure. We are aware of several do away with some of the social intervention programs to enable him succeed, or has he been able to identify a particular state on good authority and they are not going to look for another source of revenue to replace it, but you're going to cut on expenditure? It so suggests that you've identified one.
the quality of expenditure matters. I've said here, and I'm on record to have said that as part a careful but a strong expenditure-based front-loaded fiscal consolidation agenda without hurting growth and the vulnerable. The vulnerable obviously means protecting social protection. Mr. Chairman, I'm a social democrat. My party, we will protect the vulnerable in our society. Our expenditure cut will be careful, will be done in a way where the vulnerable will be protected. And I've said the quality of expenditure matters. It matters in the sense that it's wasteful and it's not properly targeted and it's not achieving the desired outcome, then you have to relook at it. So expertise. I'm also a politician. I have won a mandate, and my constituency is the dynamics of the political economy. I have monitored Ghana's economy for close to 20 years, 2 decades. I understand its trends, and I can assure you that whatever policy that we will introduce it in such a way that it will drive inclusive growth and help all of us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The ranking member is really enjoying the answer.
Honorable Ato Forson, expenditure. You've repeated that several times this morning. Is the reduction in the number of ministries, is that part of the measures being taken at the highest levels?
It feeds into the expenditure framework. Reducing government ministries from 30 to 23, 7 bureaucratic agencies, comes with its own cost. Therefore, it is part of the envelope. So straight away you can see the envelope. Today, the Ministry of Finance will have to populate the budget as approved by Parliament for expenditure in advance of appropriations. It has, as part of it, 30 ministries. Immediately they have to realign to 23. So straight away you have cost centers. And so you can understand that as part of the government's policy to cut down expenditure, we have already begun. And I'm sure I'll count on you to approve me very fast so that I can start the work. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Your last question.
My last question. Again, is there any conversation in taxes that we said we'll abolish?
I will take a question from Honorable Ampignako.
Thank you, Chairman. And congratulations to Honorable Dr. Ato Forson. You are ready to help reset Ghana. Process of introducing e-levy abolished road tolls. As you have committed to remove e-levy, would you consider to bring back road toll collections? And what is your take on property rate collections as well? Because they attempted to centralize it and they reversed it, and they reversed it, toll and property rate.
The previous government indeed coming back. Mr. Chairman, they submitted to Parliament, it was not laid. Mr. Chairman, the NDC, we are not running away from it, said that the NDC, we have not run away from that fact. So I can assure you, we are a party that sticks to our promises. And whatever we have promised to do, we'll do just that. If the road toll, and it's all over the world, Ghana won't be the first country, won't be the last one. You have to contribute towards the road maintenance. And so The only thing is we have to collect the revenue effectively and efficiently so that we can plow it towards the maintenance of those roads. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I will take a question from Gideon Buako. Dr. Gideon Buako.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, the Honorable Nominee per CV is affiliated to the Office of the Vice President. So as a lecturer of the business school, I think it is appropriate that on behalf of the KNUST Business School, I congratulate you. And I can see my colleague, Professor Jonathan Annan, sitting behind you to show moral support. 2019, Ghana's economic management team held a public lecture at the College of Physicians and Surgeons. The lecture was themed Our Progress, Our Status, Our Future. A day after that lecture, to your party on 4th April 2019, and you spoke at that public lecture, which was themed The State of the Ghanaian Economy, met out some data, among which I found a highly misleading data that you put out. And to quote you, the official data from the Ministry of Finance indicates clearly that overall deficit by end year 2016 was 7.8% of GDP, into brackets, 6.1% of new rebase GDP. Yes. If you read the budget statements of 2017, you will see that page 7, paragraph 14 of the 2017 mid-year budget put that figure at 9.3% of GDP, and not what you quoted. Again, at 9.3%, and not what you quoted. Lastly, page 3, paragraph 14. Where did you get that figure you quoted from? Would you consider apologizing to the Vice President, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia?
It doesn't lie in your mouth to ask the nominee to consider
your guidance on this. Minister, that potentially you're going to occupy should come with utmost integrity, honesty, backed by meticulousness, profundity, and analytical precision. In your capacity as minority spokesperson, you misled the public with wrong public data. Can you assure this committee that you are not going to sleep on the job and make some of these data presentational errors that we have even experienced in the past, for which Ghana was charged for some misreporting by the IMF? That's my question, Mr. Chairman.
The questioner, I will want you to consider withdrawing, going to the office with a degree of honesty, integrity. I mean, it's against our rules. So expunge that from your question. Then I can ask the nominee to answer the question.
Mr. Chairman, if you can guide me.
I think what the chairman is saying is that the aspect where you delved into his personality. So just say that that bid is deemed withdrawn. Then we make...
Mr. Chairman, duly acknowledge.
Thank you very much. Nominee, you may proceed to answer the question.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, the Honorable Gideon Buako has got it very wrong. Very wrong in 2019. And if you can check now, I want to... The reported by the IMF, the fiscal deficit, 48%, 6.3%. The Chairman, you know me in this house. I don't just speak. From 2017, the Ministry of Finance presented a budget. They quoted the numbers he's making reference to. 2018, they repeated the same inaccurate numbers, and it had become the order of the day. I have a responsibility I had a responsibility to defend our legacy. And in defending the legacy, I fun. And in doing so, the IMF presented this data. Mr. Chairman, I'll give you this. This is a dashboard I asked the Ministry of Finance to tabulate for me. Ministry of Finance's own data. I did not compute this data. It's coming from Ministry of Finance. According to the same Ministry of Finance, the fiscal deficit, cash basis for 2016, was 6.3% of GDP. Mr. Chairman, this is not coming from me. So the 7.8%, I was extremely charitable, extremely charitable, because I've weighed off 1.5% of GDP. Because that was what the Ministry of Finance has reported. They gave it to me this morning when I asked for it. This is coming from the Ministry of Finance. So there's no basis for me to apologize. I stated the fact. I stated what is coming from the IMF, what I had earlier on objected to, and I've asked the government to consider relook at the numbers again. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, Honorable Nominee, to apologize. It doesn't lie in his mouth, and it was withdrawn. So I will move to the next questioner, member of the committee, Honorable.
Mr. Chairman, I'll seek your leave for a point of order. My brother and
you are
nominee,
taking the point of order on who? Which matter are you taking the point of order on?
On the matter he just put on the table that consistently Ministry of Finance presented wrong data to
Under what order are you coming?
Mr. Chairman, I have to put this on record that he's saying that consistently for today he's gone back to that same Ministry of Finance to get accurate data because he's the one going to lead or chair lead the ministry. I don't think it is proper. I don't think this is how we should treat ourselves. If for one reason you have found out another data that is maybe contrary to what we presented, definitely there will be explanations. Definitely there will be, reasons why it is so. But to say that consistently we presented wrong data to Parliament consistently for 2 years, Mr. Chairman, this is Ghana. And like my neighbor in Etiwa West said, so let's manage what we say. We are not saying don't speak the truth, but you cannot say that consistently for 2 years, Ministry of Finance presented a wrong data here. Mr. Chairman, I expect you to do something about it. Thank you very much.
I will not allow the nominee to answer. That is not a question. It's a commentary. May we proceed? Honorable
Mr. Chairman, respectfully, you have to do something about it. While wrong data was being presented.
Honorable Patrick Obama, Honorable Abna Asare, you are out of order.
Mr. Chairman, respectfully, you have
to do
something.
Put your microphone off. Honorable Patrick Obama, it's now your turn.
Chairman, you have female team, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, Abna is your colleague and a female member on the committee, so we must do some. Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Chairman, for the opportunity to ask some questions. Let me use the opportunity to congratulate my good friend, Honorable Cassiel Ato Forson, for his nomination as Finance Minister Designate. Over 22 billion cedis, ostensibly to inject into the economy some funds. I would want to find out from you if you still stand by that comment or those comments, given the fact that with the fund program and also some borrowing from the secondary market. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I've not changed my position. Ghana was not in an IMF program in 2022.
I didn't get the answer correctly from my good friend.
Honorable Nominee, can you repeat your answer?
Mr. Chairman, he said what the central bank did was in line with the IMF program. Ghana was not in an IMF program, And I stand my position that the central bank indeed engage in monetary financing, in other words known as money.
Ato, I know Honorable Ato Forson. Sorry for calling you Ato. I'm used to calling. You've always engaged me on the debt report from the Ministry of Finance. May I know your thoughts on the debt report, particularly 2022? Reading from the Association of the City, about 90% of the increase in our external debt, which is mainly outside the PEB, to ensure balance of payments. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Member. Honourable Nominee, your answer to the question.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. The Finance Committee always considers the debt report. We started raising the red flags and asked the minister to act far back 2020. In fact, we deepened our call in 2021 and asked the government to act immediately. Our major concern at the time had to do the Archie bond and many others. And we said, what they are doing is wrong. And that as long as you are going to use government revenue, public revenue, to repay this debt or service that mentioned, we were ignored. But in the end, when Ghana went into the IMF program, we were compelled to add ESLA bond. So we came back to the basics. We in the NDC felt vindicated, but we don't seek that. We think it provides a very excellent lesson for all of us in the way we report our debt. Fast forward, that is why the NDC, we've pledged in our manifesto to establish an independent debt management office so that we can report our debt in a very transparent manner to avoid past mistakes and to move on. The exchange rate issues you've mentioned are very genuine and very germane. Yes, as long as you borrow in another country's in your currency, it will have an impact, and so your debt will be going up. But remember, it's also your responsibility to manage the currency, and it's not someone else's responsibility, and stabilize it. Have some when approved as minister, I will work or coordinate effectively with the central bank for us to be able. Financing has a role to play in the inflation that we saw in 2016 and the city that we saw depreciating to a level that you are talking about. So we need to.
Thank you. Minister, there's just a question to the Asin area, Denchira, Ashanti, Western North. They are all listening to you. And they would want to know from Cocoa Board was moved from the Ministry of Finance to Ministry of Agric. People are immediately going to increase, as promised, the producer price of cocoa to 6,000 Ghana cedis per bag.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman,
please go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, as we speak, the government changed the position. In fact, President Akufo-Addo brought a bill to the House for us to consider and change it. Until that changes, I will not be the chair of the Producer Price Review Committee for me to commit. But what I can say, I do not have a cocoa farm myself, and everyone knows that, is that we are not paying the cocoa farmer a fair price. And our volumes are dwindling from almost 1 million metric ton to 400 and something thousand metric ton. Today, we are second largest producer of cocoa. Ecuador is fast approaching, and if care is not taken, Ecuador will overtake us and revamp the industry. As minister with the Ghana Cocoa Board, as a rare sector active player, to revitalize the cocoa sector, but at the same time paying attention to what the cocoa farmer gets. Because we need to incentivize them, we need to encourage them, for them to be able to cultivate the cocoa, and for them to be able to also be encouraged to stay within the sector. Remember, the cocoa industry is the more or less the largest single employer of Ghana's economy. And it cuts across how many regions in our country. Almost half of this country produces cocoa. So don't overlook cocoa, and we will not overlook cocoa.
Minister,
thank you very much.
Just the word go. You have a voice.
So that even empowers me stronger.
Thank you very much.
And my passion will always come to play.
Thank you. It's now the turn of Honorable Governor Kwame Abuja, the Majority Chief Whip.
Chairman, thank you. I also want to take the opportunity to congratulate my boss, the Majority Leader, Honorable Cassiel Ato Forson. Working with you as your whip, I have no doubt you are cut for this job. You are enough on this committee. But I have this to say. This is my very good friend, the respected Minority Leader, made the point that there's a convention that leaders are vetted differently. And I was here when even the Deputy Majority Whip at the time, Honorable Lydia Alassane, was vetted. That rule even applied to her as a Deputy Whip. We are approaching 3 hours when our colleague NPP, these rules apply. And we on the NDC side follow through. Let this just be on the record that one day, if you have actually set the precedent. Let me go to another observation. My very respected but actually watch videos of proceedings in Parliament. And we all learn from him sometimes, though I came to Parliament with him. I mean, using this platform, the president to this house, where he suggested that Order 65-1 says that that type of letter should be signed. And he took issues with Dr. Kalisu signing that letter. I have here in my hands a letter dated 21st January 2021. And this letter communicates President Akufo-Addo's nominees for executive secretary. But somebody called Honorable. Whilst I agree with you, that I agree with him that Order 65-1 should be adhered to. But the point is that this is nothing new in this house. Indeed, the executive secretary of the authority under that same thing. So just for the records. Honorable Dr. Ato Forson, a payment of $53 million towards a supposed cathedral project. $53 million has been paid. The result is a big hole not far from here. We also know that the payment acknowledged that the $53 million could have paid for 3 completed Agenda 111 district hospitals, could have paid for 1,226 unit classroom blocks, could have paid for 1,050 chip compounds, could have paid at least 9,000 cutlasses for farmers. Will you promise that when you are approved by this House and then subsequently by the House, you would set up an investigation as to whether this payment was legitimate, and if possible, retrieve this money, build 1,050 chip compounds and 1,200 6-unit classroom blocks. Hopefully, Adaklu will get some of the 6-unit classroom blocks because many Ghanaians believe was a waste.
Thank you very much. Before of the communication to Parliament, I indicated quoting a decided case to support. As a matter of fact, it's not about the form but the substance. So let's leave it there. You may proceed to provide an answer to the question. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. Mr. Chairman, this takes me back to what I started earlier. The quality of expenditure matter was to cut investigative power. It is agenda to investigate. I attend the office of the Attorney General. For me, and what it has done to all of us as a country, we ended up borrowing, and we borrowed that, including Eurobond holders. So we have to learn from it. And I've said that we need to identify some of these kind of expenditures. You are now aware of this one. but maybe there are a lot more that we are not aware of. Can we identify some of them? Can we pledge together, the political class, the governing class, not to continue some of these things and allow the private sector to deal with some of these things concerned? So I'll leave that here and urge you that I will work with yourselves to identify some of these wasteful expenditures and cut them appropriately. Let's cut the waste together.
Thank you very much.
Chairman, thank you for the opportunity. Chairman, my respected colleague Kwame Agboja made reference to an earlier observation made by me in respect of the communication from that there's precedence, and that in January 2021, specifically 21st of January 2021, a communication from the presidency was signed by Eugene Ahin, Acting Director of Communication, informing the Speaker of some nominees, and that to him is a precedence. The letter he referred to is rather a press release, not a letter to the Speaker. And for his own record, is titled "For Immediate Release. President Akufo-Addo's nominees for ministerial and regional Nana Addo Akufo-Addo has submitted to Parliament for prior approval through the Speaker, Right Honorable Alban Sumana Kingsford Bagbin, the names of the following persons for appointments as ministers in his new government." So, just for the record, my respected colleague, Eugene Ahin has never written on behalf of, it's a press release. And if you want me to read the conclusion, I will. President Akufo-Addo is hopeful that Parliament will see to the prompt approval of his nominees so that they can assist in. Our colleague, Ufosu Kwachi, as the acting spokesperson for the President, has actually also released a statement in respect of the nominees that got to Parliament. So I'm saying that, get the fact right, you referring to, or neither was I suggesting that there was no such precedent and that this is something that, I got wrong.
Point he made, because the orders are clear that such communication should be signed by the President, the Vice President, and I agree with you. So I'm just saying that Executive Secretary have communicated to this House on a number of occasions, but as the Chair directed, we'll leave it there. Leader, the debt of this country. We have heard you say sometimes if we were to share the debt, my auntie Peace, would have to pay 20,000 Ghana cedi as part of our debt. But so far, I've not heard you speak about, in your view, going through the transition, how much does this country owe now? What was supposed to pay today?
Thank you very much for your question. How much do we owe now? What was it?
I would wish to wait for us to finalize NDR numbers, and then as part of the budget, we can announce same. We'll have to announce those accurate data. For now, I will urge that we wait until they finalize NDR numbers, because the fiscal fits into position tomorrow. So I beg that you leave that to the NDR numbers. Thank you.
Honorable, it's not the turn of the Deputy Leader, Honorable Patricia Apiaje.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Having been here for all this while, I've been wondering how many sins this committee has committed to fast-track your vetting. I've been wondering whether Ghana, Banana Republic, has been transported back to Ghana. So that's my first question.
To the nominee.
I need an answer from my leader.
As the chair, as the vice chair of our appointment committee, Mr. Chairman, I'm not a member of the appointment committee. I cannot be too sure the sins they have committed. That one is between you and your God.
I think what I would, you mean you don't know the sins we've committed as a committee for fast-tracking your vetting today, a vetting that was supposed to be held tomorrow and is being held today? And we were even expecting it to be held in the next 2 weeks. Anyway, I like your answer. The country. And on my own behalf, I'd like to congratulate you for your appointment. The current cocoa price, producer price of cocoa, is 49,600 per ton. That is 64 kg bag. Over the past 1 year.
Are you talking in terms of dollars or cedis?
Cedis,
I want to be clear.
Over the past 1 year, you've been advocating for higher producer price for our cocoa farmers. And you know they are very happy that given the nod, you are going to be on the seat. Should you get the nod from this House, what reasonable and fair administration, and when will this review take place? I would like to mention specifically the figure you mentioned.
Mr. Chairman, without a doubt, I'm a biggest advocate for cocoa farmers. I've done that in the last 8 years, and I've fought for the cocoa to improve the lot of the cocoa farmer, recognizing their contribution to the economy, recognizing that the cocoa sector has been the mainstay of Ghana's economy for years and dwindling at a very fast rate, in fact, at an exponential rate. I think we need to do something, including the farm gate price and revamping the sector itself. I've said that the Ghana Cocoa Board is currently under the Ministry of Agriculture. It is not under the Ministry of Finance, unless there's a policy change. But let me speak to what is before us now. It is not under the Ministry of Finance. So I do not have the sole power, prerogative, to announce cocoa price today. But obviously, as a minister, I'll be the champion for cocoa farmers, and I'll make sure that they get a fair price. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any further question?
Yes, the minister indicated that he is going to advocate for 6,000 a bag for cocoa farmers. And I'm surprised that you are now saying that it doesn't lie within your sole prerogative to do that. You were emphatic to do that. So should we demand that from you, that farmers are listening?
Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. I don't think this is one of the sins that I enumerated, but I said I will advocate, and I've said that I will not change my position. I can certainly change.
Thank you very much. Another question, please.
Right. Thank you very much. Honorable Member, with the growing population of young people entering the workforce each year, what is your plan to address youth unemployment? By asking if you could outline any specific programs to support entrepreneurship, skills training, or expansion of industries that have high job creation potential. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any program to support entrepreneurship
Chairman,
and innovation?
As a government, our job creation measures have been announced as part of our manifesto. As a minister, my responsibility is to mobilize the needed resources. In consultation with Cabinet, I will have to allocate them effectively to the sectors that will create employment and for them to be able to create jobs. When we talk about jobs, Mr. Chairman, and what you said, we've announced our 24-hour economy and ISIS and the same human resource. That in itself will create enough jobs. jobs that will be able to cater for our teeming youth. But in the meantime, what you said about skill training and all, His Excellency the President going to set up a structure to train skills, give them access to the required training, and give them the tools for them to be able to learn the trade. I'll fund it as a minister, if approved, or when approved, in such a way that the skills that we lack as a country, we can train them locally and give them employment. Today, most of us, anytime we give them the training, I think
my last question, but I'm looking at the development of women, and I'm highly interested in your manifesto promise to set up a women development bank, and then free tertiary education. And I know all these things are going to be with a proposed reduction priority for the government. Thank you.
Honorable Nominee.
Thank you. Chairman, fiscal consolidation is not only a priority to the investor community strongly. That fiscal consolidation is not only a priority, but we'll front load it in a way, at the same time not ignoring the impact on growth and protecting the vulnerable. So that, I can assure you, it is a priority. We have an option to rationalize some of these expenditures. And so it's a matter of switching, and that is not what it means. It's a priority of government, and we'll do just that.
Thank you for your answer. Any more questions?
Yes, I will have
question or contribution.
Put in by Dr. Boakum. Honorable, you agree that data for end of year usually is validated on the first quarter of the provisional. How then do you say that data presented in 2017 and 2018, knowing that they are provisional, you term it as inaccurate? Thank you.
Thank you very much. What did you say? Those data is provisional, though,
Mr. Chairman,
inaccurate.
That is exactly my point. The Honorable Gid was the fact. In fact, subsequent data from the Ministry of Finance has confirmed that I was overly generous. I had announced 7.3. Chairman, I did not cook these numbers. This was given to me by the Ministry of Finance this morning. And preliminary until final. And you know, in Parliament, you have
answers. Any more questions? Very much. Honorable Dr. Gid. It appears I'm overindulging you. No. Honorable Boa.
Respect Chairman, the chair. Let's deal with this before we
respect the chair.
Chairman, let's deal with
this. Please respect the chair.
I have recognized
Chairman, and I have noted that.
I can give you the floor. Leader,
Chairman.
Honorable Minority Leader, I have recognized Honorable Amabua, the Deputy Majority.
Honorable Cassiel Ato
Chairman,
Forson.
with the greatest respect.
Honorable Cassiel Ato
Chairman,
Forson.
with the greatest respect to
congratulations.
you. Please.
Congratulations.
Please, let's deal with this
very, very proud
so
of
that after that.
Let's
deal with this
very, very proud
so
of
that after that.
We entered
you consistent. You, my colleagues,
respect the chair.
Does not go in accord with what we all have agreed on to extend to each other that utmost respect. This is, I understand that you may have a high-pitched voice. However, I will plead with you. The way you came across as shouting on him, it happened in all humility. Please,
Perhaps you did not intend that. Perhaps you did not intend that. And I'm here. If you feel that any of my colleagues is doing something or there's something that is not acceptable, we can work together. But the way
very well.
You did it.
Very well.
You did it. I'm pleading with you.
Point well made.
Please, Chair.
But, Honorable Leader, with all due respect, to the practice and the procedure of this particular committee. Therefore, I do not expect any non-member, after exhausting that right, to be craving to ask more questions. I think we should conduct the business in a very orderly manner.
This is why I yielded to Honorable Afenyo. This is why I yielded to Honorable Afenyo Mike. It's not because he's macho than anybody here, but because
Leader, proceed to ask your question.
I respect the chair.
Proceed to ask
Chairman,
your question.
I'm going to ask my question. Let me put it on record that this extension of courtesies never happened when we're in the minority under the former chairman of the appointment committee, Honorable Osei Owusu. It never happened. Honorable Afenyomak is the ranking member, but you have to give him the right to speak. I entered parliament with you in 2009. I know that we were about 42 on our side, and then the other side also had only 4 left. That speaks volumes about the attrition of parliament. But I am very, very, very proud of you. So if I say I know you very well, I know you very well. You are a man of complete integrity, and you speak with data and facts. Performance today, and I think you've calmed the nerves of the people of Ghana and given them the assurance that you are going to really lead, quite frankly, the finance ministry to success. So my respected leader that in the last 2 years led the minority from 137 to 188 seats. Congratulations. So I'll go straight to my question. Ghana's economy, Honorable, is grappling with serious challenges. I think you've talked a lot about them. Debt to GDP issues, inflation, and high unemployment. And so my question is, as the Minister of Finance, what will be your top priorities to address these challenges?
Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. Mr. Chairman, let me also thank His Excellency the President for the honor done me and the mission of trust. I come to this position very well prepared. I have 16 years. You are aware that I've served, one as a Deputy Minister of Finance, and on the other side, when my party went to opposition, I was the minority and monitored the behavior of how our economy behaves. I think I'm in a better place to move our country from this uncharted waters to a calm place. I'm determined. I'll do that for God and country. And I cannot say one thing and go and do the other. Whatever it takes, I will be reminded and remember some of the things that I've said. I will do whatever it takes. My priority as a minister will be low prices, stable city, and jobs. Low prices in the sense that today inflation is 28.3, food inflation is 27.8, and we know the inflation we see today is anchored. I'll allocate resources in consultation with Cabinet to government policy of agriculture for economic transformation to make food cheaper, and we'll work with the minister responsible for agric to make food cheaper. That in itself will help make food available and protect food security. From the price side, you can't talk about price without inflation. I mean, inflation needs to be tamed. It has been stubborn, but it has been 23.8. Today, that's the inflation rate. What do we do together to reduce this inflation to 8% plus or minus 2? We will, and in doing so, we'll see prices stabilizing. The city needs to be anchored and has to be anchored from the Ministry of Finance and the Bank of Ghana. You can't leave the Bank of Ghana alone to coordinate effectively with the central bank, the monetary authorities, so that together we can anchor the currency. Monetary financing must be eliminated, and we'll work to eliminate it. I'm on record to have, and I will do exactly what it is to make sure we anchor the currency. On jobs, I've said it all. I've said it here that my responsibility as a minister responsible for finance is to raise the required revenue and to allocate it in consultation with cabinet to sectors that will create the jobs. And so we will do just that. And I want to repeat that. It will help to reduce prices and stabilize the currency and create the jobs. That is what I ask God to help me to achieve.
Cost of living crisis, food inflation. Obviously, you can only do this with other sectors, other ministries, to address these strategies that you do, working with others.
Honourable Nominee, your answer, please.
Mr. Chairman, my passion is agric and agribusiness. And that's why I'm sure you've seen questions coming from Coco, left, right, and center. Why is it that food inflation is 27.8? I think it speaks volume. It speaks volume. And what are the staples? Ghana staples. Why are we not taking hard decision to invest in the agriculture sector, to agriculture? I hope to work with the minister concerned, and we will work together to implement the government policy to make food cheaper and make it encouraging for young people to enter the sector. And in the process, you cannot ignore agribusiness. As I've said, that's my passion, and I intend to work with the minister responsible for agriculture to ensure food security and cheaper foods.
Honourable Minister, I wish you all the best.
Thank you very much. Any more questions?
No, thank you very much.
Honourable Deputy Minority Leader. Yes, Deputy Minority Leader. Honourable Deputy Ranking and Minority Ranking Member and Minority Leader. Honourable Leader, your turn.
Thank you. I will spare you the AR2 for today. Leader, this is not a question and this is not a foundation I'm laying on any matter. It's just a comment, not for you, but for the many young politicians who have just arrived. On the day of the inauguration, seated by you, you made a backbench, and today it's your turn to serve your country. You urged upon me that we should do all we can to make Ghana proud. I want those who have just joined public service in the political class to take inspiration from this. Patience and industry is a rule. Punch above your weight, else you get crushed. Having said this, I shall proceed with some few earlier submission. Therefore, I will champion. We have some free SHS, free feeding, free. Would you sustain the free SHS program in its current form and shape, and even improve upon the quality? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nominee.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. Mr. Chairman, entered this chamber together. Unfortunately, in his first attempt, he couldn't make it, and I made it. Than him. Mr. Chairman, I'm his senior. Private sector business even before we all entered here, and we've known ourselves growing up. Everyone knows the relationship between us. But working with him didn't stop me from doing my work. And it didn't stop him from also doing his within country. And you have to do it with the best of intention to help our country grow. We did just that. We've had a moment. We fought. We united ourselves. Today, let me and be good. Be good.
That's a good one.
Be good. Yes. We do not intend to cancel the free SHS. In fact, President Mahama has said that the free SHS has come to stay. I don't think you need any further assurance. The President of the Republic of Ghana has made this statement. Who am I? As a minister that he has appointed. So you have the assurance from the highest level of government to preserve the policy. I don't think I have what it takes to give you additional assurance. It's done. And he will be coming to this house as part of his State of the Nation address. I'm sure he will re-echo that position. I'm only a servant. My responsibility, if approved, will be to allocate resources to his priorities, or to the priorities of the government. Free SHS has come to stay. His pronouncement in the last few years.
Thank you very much. Any further questions?
Yeah. As the holder of the purse, whether the school feeding program will be sustained.
Thank you very much. School feeding program.
Mr. Chairman, my concern is that the amount you give today pays well. In fact, that's what it is. But we'll make it better. Be designed in such a way that, remember, the school feeding is not in Achimota. It's not in Achimota school. It's somewhere in the village. And for them, this...
For clarity and for the records, the caterers out there listening to you should take it that the current amount being paid to them is going to increase once you take over. With that assurance, what percentage should they expect? 20%, 30%, 40%, 50%? Because you say that the amount being paid is woefully inadequate. You didn't just say inadequate, you say woefully best. The percentage you are going to increase their costs.
Mr. Chairman,
thank you very much. But
Chairman,
before you provide your answer,
the minority leader is putting words in my mouth.
Yes, but before you provide your answer, can you state how much is it now?
We are going to increase it. I never on it. And made reference to the amount we pay and said it's not enough. Because I've heard the caterers complain. So, Chairman, this is a house of records. Whatever we say here goes into the Hansard. I never said that. And so, Mr. Chairman,
thank you very much.
You don't just increase. You need to engage the sector. And so it will be difficult for me to sit here and just announce. I don't work like that, arbitrary. What is the basis of just announcing 20%? I don't work like that. I'm a careful person. So I cannot announce things that I don't know.
That the caterers have been complaining. That is a fact that is coming from him. 2, he says that they are not being paid enough, considering even the cost of an egg. He referred to that. And he's going to improve upon it. Amount is not enough. Even the cost of an egg and looking at how much they are being paid. So give us a percentage. That's fine. I won't push. But I want you to be on record that upon assumption of office, the caterer should expect an increase in the amount being paid as compared to the current payment they are receiving?
Your answer, the indication is clear that the amount is woefully inadequate and it will be improved. The answer is already
Mr. Chairman, just to also add that we have to first pay the caterers, because I know not long ago, last week, they were picketing and demanding their payment. And so the first attention is to make sure you pay them, the caterers, because some of them had to borrow before they engage in such a business. So let's pay them first and sit with them. I don't know the quantum of arrest. We need to know the arrest, the amount of money the government of Ghana owes these caterers. We ascertain it, pay them, make them happy, and then we'll move on.
Mr. Chair, as for this, I know it as a fact. So I will give a voluntary answer. Honorable Leader and my respected colleague, government pay them, that is, this which has just begun, that government does not owe, that perhaps government owes, because the term would have to end. But I want you to know that I am aware that government paid all outstandings to caterers. The MPP government, at the time of leaving office, had paid every single caterer. Every single caterer which has just begun. That upon completion, they will send their invoices for validation. So just for the records, and I pray that with assurance that there's going to be improvement in the amount being paid. You are saying that you won't use the word increase, but you will use the word improvement. Well, it means the same. So they expect that this current term, God willing, as you take over as a fresh Ato, they are going to enjoy an improved payment. Thank you very much. Mr. Chair, having put that on record, let me go back to the issue of cocoa price per bag. A respected colleague indicated that, well, the cocoa sector is under the Ministry of Agric, and that if there is any policy real, a key advocate for cocoa. Now, the issue is beyond advocacy. You are now the man in charge of the press, and you know the pressure on cocoa farmers. Committed. Would it be decision?
Ghana Cocoa Board uses this money part to buy cocoa, part to buy. I will not do this committee any good if I sit here and announce cocoa price. But as I've said, I remain a key advocate for the cocoa farmer. I will do so with the best of intention. I'll continue to speak for the cocoa. I still maintain that it's inadequate.
Thank you.
And there is more room for improvement.
Thank you. Further question?
Chairman, is a nominee conceding that the 6,000 per bag he quoted on the floor of the House,
Ghana cedi per bag, should have been paid in the last crop year. So, Chairman, I say this because Cocoa Board is gradually turning themselves into a procurement agent just to procure inputs and denying the cocoa farmer. So they could have adjusted their formula to benefit the cocoa farmer, a fair price. And I believe the cocoa farmer deserves a fair price. And I know His Excellency the former president quoted me previously that I had said the cocoa farmer deserves 6,100. I'm not running away from that fact. I said it on the floor, and I backed it with the world market price in the city at the time.
You've been consistent in your answer on this. Any further question?
Rightly so, sir. Chairman, the nominee is being vetted as Minister of Finance. I want to ask I want to ask him whether economic planning will be part of his responsibilities.
Thank you very much. Though the instrument is very clear, you may proceed to answer the question.
Mr. Chairman, the instrument said Ministry of Finance. Fiscal policy in itself, and the National Development Planning Commission will accordingly do so.
Very much. More question.
Chairman, the instrument titled Executive Instrument EI1, Civil Service Instrument 2025, dated the 9th of January 2025, state the following: Ministries of the Civil Service. The following ministries in the civil service are hereby established. A, Ministry of Finance. If you go to the unreferenced letter from the Office of the President, signed, colleagues like to heckle me when I give them a small dose, then they will be crying. Anyway, signed by Callistus Mahama, PhD, Secretary to the President. Which letter? The unreferenced letter, dated the 9th of January 2025, states as follows: in accordance with Article 78(1) of the Constitution of His Excellency John Mahama, submit for consideration and approval of Parliament the following nominees for ministerial appointment. 1. Dr. Cassiel Ato Forson, MP, Minister Designate, Ministry of Finance and Economic Planning. I'm staying a bit longer on this because the instrument is dated 9th. The letter communicates which is which.
Honorable Nominee, before you come in, leader, you know that the EI.
Chairman, does that mean that we should put the nominees' vetting on hold and expect the presidency to communicate, which I agree, that the instrument which comes under constitutional provision, Article 11, if we go to Article 11, for the avoidance of doubt, may we go to Article 11 of the Constitution, the hierarchy of laws. No, but they are instruments. No, they don't need to be. Person or authority under the power conferred by this Constitution or any other law shall be, Mr. Chair, I agree, therefore, if that is so, I believe that the right thing to do would then be that we receive another communication from the presidency stating the correct office you are going to hold, because that contradiction can only be cured by a letter. In any event, the instrument is not formed because we thought the NDC, having had an experience in government before, was fully prepared for this term. So with 8 quality men and women in charge of governance, we were expecting this to have been to ferry these concerns to the presidency so that we get a new letter. And I pray my next question.
Honorable Leader, I pleaded with you that let's...
Chairman, I sympathize with the minority leader. He raised this point earlier, and you rightly said, our committee had a pre-sitting meeting. All these issues were taken into consideration, and we came to a conclusion that we will do the vetting today. And I mean, we all commended them for this kindness. So going to bring back this thing and suggesting that somebody should have known something. I think these were the issues we discussed. The public, we are making it look as if these issues were not addressed. So I'm pleading with you. You have your right as the leader of the opposition to bring forth your point, but benefit from the pre-meeting arrangement. So I'm pleading with you once again. I just want to remind you once again, the shortest vetting we've had in this parliament since I entered was the vetting of Honorable Che Mensah Bonsu, leader of the majority, leader of the House. The shortest. The opposite happening today is the longest. Just that on record again. And you were the one who actually brought this up and reminded it to exist. We just hope one day nobody will insist that vetting of another leader should be the shortest.
Mr. Chairman, the shortest vetting we've ever had was with Honorable Alban Sumanak. That said, I do not want to believe that Honorable Member Governor Agbo, Honorable Roxanne Eche Defiamapo is right here with us. We have had him on record, including Honorable Governor Agboja, and paragraphs contained in a letter from Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo to the House. So please, if I'm...
Thank you, honourable members. Let's make progress.
So,
the point well noted.
We assume, without any doubt, that the President has and obviously values your insights and contributions in crafting policy. May you share with...
Thank you. President has appointed the Honorable Guzitando as the Special Advisor for 24 Hours Economy. His office, prior to his nomination, in the coming days, we will make those policy public, working with the Ministry of Finance. I strongly believe that we can increase our GDP or double our GDP with the same capital, closely with the office of Together We Can Twerk It. Look, let me say that if Ghana succeeds, we all succeed. And so we'll have to work together. I don't have the full details of the work they've done. And as I said, the work didn't just start. They've been working in the last 2 years to develop a program towards this 24-hour economy agenda. No wonder the Honorable Guzitando was nominated to lead it, because he has been leading it since opposition. Thank you.
So, Chairman, the ordinary Ghanaian, what is a 24-hour economy? Just for the ordinary Ghanaian to understand.
24-hour economy from you.
Mr. Chairman, simple put, of the economy doesn't slip. For example, we have a mining sector, don't we? We want to see where the mining sector does not slip, as against a situation where the mining sector, for example, does 12 hours and go to bed. The benefits of light electricity, they should be able to work 24 hours, and many other sectors. You have the hydrocarbon sector. You have the entire agriculture value chain. It's not just going to farm, but after farm, the produce must go to a warehouse. And you have to, obviously, process it into agribusiness. And so we don't want the value chain to go to sleep. We believe that if implemented properly, we'll be able to increase the workforce. And we've said one job, just like we have now, can end up employing 3. So 24-hour economy is a structure where we'll end up implementing a 3 shift for the economy.
Chairman, stay out of this matter. Suggesting, therefore, that the structure of our economy as it stands now has no such input as 24-hour economy already subsisting?
There's some semblance of 24
Please,
hours.
go ahead with your answer.
Mr. Chairman, no. You see, the rail sector are the core sectors of the economy that drives inclusive growth, proper growth, and create jobs. You have health, where hospitals operate 24 hours. You have the police. That's not what we're talking about. We are talking of the rail sector, where jobs are created. For example, we have Takoradi Port, my birthplace, where I grew up, secondly, Takoradi Port. And you have mines, where I used to work, the Awaso area. I mean, going all the way to Yini. With a proper railway line, you can get the Yini mines to produce. The whole process is what we are talking about, 24-hour economy. So it's the rail sector that we are talking about. Investment in the rail sector to drive growth. That's what we are talking about, not choppers. We are not talking of choppers. We are not talking of pharmacy shop. That's not what we are talking about, rail sector growth.
Done some costing. You have an approach in terms of this model, because from your answer, you are suggesting that you are going to target certain sectors. And if you are targeting these sectors, you need to inject some funding. So let us know what funding arrangement you have in place to back this policy.
Mr. Chairman, I don't want to jump the gun. I said earlier that the
capable of answering the question.
I said earlier that the Office of the Special Advisor to the President, responsible for 24-hour economy, today he's in office. He will need to tweak it and present same to Parliament. Obviously, for that, the President has appointed someone responsible for 24-hour economy. Let's wait for the person to provide us a proper blueprint, and we'll talk about it.
Thank you. Any further question, Leader?
Yes, please.
Chairman. You have a long way to go.
Chairman, we have a 10 billion public infrastructure investment plan proposed by the NDC. At the same time, the NDC in government seeks to introduce the sinking fund and cap government borrowing. This is a manifesto promise. And if so, walk us through the numbers and demonstrate how it fits into the IMF framework for 2025 to 2028.
Mr. Chairman, I subscribe to the tenets of our manifesto because I was part in formulating that manifesto. Mr. Chairman, yes, we promised to set up a sinking fund. It's necessary. It is required. If we had single fund today, I wouldn't be sitting here lamenting that there are debts that will fall due, yet we do not have buffers. When that, it is only right for you to save during good times to take off bad times. So we'll save when it's good, and when it's bad, we'll have buffers to be able to deal with the challenges. You can't borrowing. You can't borrow into an unsustainable pit. We've seen it in the past. Can we continue the same way that we went through? The banking sector today is limping, and we'll have to borrow to support the banking sector as a result of the haircuts that the country went through, and many others. Pensioners have to suffer. Individual bondholders have to lose their capital, some their medication and all to that. Aside what you mentioned, the 10 billion big push policy, the economy must grow in spite of all of this. The outgoing government, the immediate past government, Agenda 111, has left behind. In spite of the challenges, we have to carefully invest in the rail sector. And you know my biases already. Hydrocarbons, mining, infrastructure, agri. And the rail sector development is key. So $10 billion, we can fund it over the medium term, over a 4-year period. And I've said here, the quality of expenditure matters. You have a choice to take $58 million to build National Cathedral. In the same vein, you have a choice to use 4 times that amount to be able to construct a proper highway between Accra and Kumasi. What would that do for you to increase productivity of this country forward?
Thank you very much.
Chairman.
Is that the end, or you have more questions?
I'm not an economist. Mine is law, but we are learning. He once said there's a difference between releases and payments. So government will release to controller, and then controller would have to effect the payment. So when the actual, you can talk about actual payment when you are in receipt of your payment. Ato, correct? Very well. So I would want to use that to clarify an earlier point that I made from the school feeding secretariat, that government released the entire 72 days out of those release letters by the caterers was for 42 days, and that the 32 days outstanding is yet to be received by the caterers. So I just wanted that on record, and that becomes your first responsibility. Releases. Are you ready to ensure that the controller complies with the releases?
Mr. Chairman, you are aware that...
Well, before coming to answer the question, I thought you said they have fully paid. But now that you are... I would ask the nominee to...
Languages, when they are coded to mean something. I've been in this business with you, so wait. I've noted that since it got to my turn, all my questions, you find a way of repeating. We've been doing this. I was playing number 6 when I was on government side. So I understand the game you want to play. But wait.
What number am I playing?
I don't know. But it's for you to determine the number you are playing. But let's get back. We all learn. And when you're learning, you don't have to be worried about mistakes. So you learn. And through the warrant that government communicated to the controller, it was for the full amount owed the caterers, the 72 days. So government of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, at the time of leaving office, released the entire outstanding at 31st of December 2024. The controller had only paid 42 days, and that we have some days outstanding in releases yet to be paid. Do we have your commitment to ensure that the controller complies with this?
Honorable nominee, your comment.
Mr. Chairman, I keep guiding the committee that let's be careful not to speculate, because we don't have the full picture yet. You may think it's 30-something days left, but you will end up seeing worse. So I urge that let's take our time, get to the ministry, do a proper assessment as to the arrest due, and have a plan to repay. The chairman said that there are some arrests we need to pay. Let's get to the ministry. And when we get there, we'll work to make sure this is what we can do for the school feeding.
Thank you very much.
Public Infrastructure Investment Fund. I want to know from you, Honorable Nominee, how much of the 10 billion shall be the debt ceiling in your manifesto? Because you are proposing a certain debt ceiling. You are also talking about raising this 10 billion. I want to know how you intend to go about it and how much of same each year. Thank you.
Nominee.
So, Chairman, the policy will be submitted to Parliament for approval. The big push policy will be submitted to Parliament for approval.
Thank you very much.
In it, when we are going to start and how much goes into each year, so the details will be provided to this House.
Thanks. Any
questions to make to meet a policy initiative of the government. And because you hold the purse, it would squarely come to you. One, the free university tuition for first year. Second, the extra cost to be incurred under free SHS to cover private schools. So these are two main expenditure lines to look out for. So let me start with the first one. With the free university tuition for first years, I understand the university students are starting their semester 1 now, for university student. Are you going to implement it this academic year, which has just begun, and would you factor it in your budget, which you are going to present? Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Well, proceed with the answer.
Mr. Chairman, first, I'm not yet the Minister of Finance. Second, Mr. Chairman, I have to be at the ministry to assess the situation and introduce government policies accordingly, or government flagships. I will do that, not alone, but working with Cabinet. I'm mindful of our manifesto promises, and I should be the one to be able to recommend same to government if we can afford it. And as long as it's in government manifesto and there are timelines to it, I commit to it. I commit to it, and we'll do just that. But let me get to the ministry first, and let's see what we can do.
Thank you.
So, Chair, Honorable Nominee, are you suggesting that you have not considered the costing of this policy, the free tuition for first year university students?
Chairman, that is very wrong. I've never said that. It doesn't matter the costing, it must fit into a framework. And I have to get into the ministry first. I can't pretend to use this podium to read the national budget. This is not a budget. Let me get there so that I can present the budget to you, and some of these policies will be appropriately.
Thank you very much.
Chairman, I would want a further clarity on this all-important policy. Your manifesto talks about tertiary. Tertiary is not only the universities, but post-secondary institutions that award nursing training institutions, colleges of nursing. You have the colleges of education. Are they all going to be factored?
Mr. Chairman, I think I've made this point already. And you need to approve me first. Give me the power to be able to make policies that I can come and answer when I become the minister.
Thank you very much. You have to file a question.
Chairman,
after approval.
No worries at all. But you see, a distinction must be made. There are matters that you need to get to the ministry. And being part of a political party leadership, I know what goes into manifesto pledges. And, or if not a year or two ago, that you were leading the economic team of your party. We know. Therefore, you've always known about this policy. It didn't just get into your manifesto. What I want to know from you are facts within your domain, whether the colleges of education, colleges of agriculture, colleges of nursing, and other institutions that are tertiary institutions are parts of this when you were drafting the policy. That's what I want you to tell me, not something that you will get to know upon arriving at the ministry.
Leader, with all due respect, you are just calling on the nominee to give you an interpretation of tertiary. I think we should give
I can understand where you are coming from. But you see, we are a political class, and we are dealing with a social intervention deliverables. Those watching us would want clarity. And that is all I seek to do. So that somebody at Legon, but somebody at the nursing college in Winneba, who is doing a diploma in nursing, would think that because they benefit of knowing what tertiary means at the time you were drafting this policy, when you said you would give first year tertiary students free tuition. You pay for them, government will pay. So parents would not need to pay at all. You know, so I just want a clarification.
Mr. Chairman, I think it's unambiguous in our manifesto what we said. I do not seek to reinterpret what is in the manifesto. And it's as clear as possible. In the next budget, if you have any doubt, we can clarify those in the next budget. Thank you.
Fair enough, Chairman, fair enough. So let me come to the next leg of this social intervention, the free SHS. So you have promised that you will extend it to the private secondary schools. You are going to be a major advisor to government. Have you planned, do you have a plan as to the number? If so, have you looked at the cost?
Mr. Chairman, the number of students in the private school, so whatever target or whatever costing that was done was done with the data as at the time they did assessment. I was not part of the group that did assessment. Today, we are in office. You need to look at the data, the number of people concerned, and how much you are paying. Let's get to office. The president is only 2 weeks, it's less than 2 weeks old, it's 1 week old. Let's get to the office, and then we can start work. There's no minister to come to Parliament to deliver his State of the Nation address. Thank you.
So, the private secondary schools that you propose to extend free SHS to is going to include Ghana International School, Lincoln, Association, because all these are private schools, secondary schools. Are you going to include them?
Did we mention them? Well, the nominee is capable of answering the question. Other than that, private school is private school.
Mr. Chairman, I'm not aware that Ghana International Lincoln and the text WASI, they don't write WASI. I'm not aware. I'm not aware that Ghana International School goes through West Africa Examination Council. They do GSC, GCSEs and A-levels and others. I'm not aware that you can equate Lincoln with a school fees of $30,000 to Achimota School. I'm not aware of that. The Chairman, let's get to work. And when we get there, we'll present to this House a comprehensive program. The Chairman, the previous administration was unable to regulate this free so that it becomes part of us. And so we'll do what we have to do. The Honorable Minority Leader knows me well, that I'm a man of my word. And I can give...
Thank you very much.
Is the nominee fully aware that in respect of the promises by his party in the health sector, the party engaged? Are you aware of this? And do you agree to that? The health sector, the
transition, I was told that Agenda 111 would take $1.5 billion to complete. But I'm not aware of this 18 billion. I don't know.
Are you committed to completing the Agenda 111 with that amount? Are you committed to that?
Mr. Chairman, 2020, we were told they were going to complete it within a year and two. The Chairman, this is 4 years. What we know is that His Excellency the President has committed that he is going to complete all of his minister, if approved. And so, when you approve me as minister, I will assess the situation, I will find out what you are leaving behind, and be able to advise the President appropriately. But at the moment, I'm not in a position to advise.
Chairman, I have the last two for my respected brother and colleague, and I'll call it a day. Your government has indicated as debt service payment to bondholders resume. Considering that T-bills will not be to meet the high financing needs without jeopardizing debt sustainability.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, financing is a function of the budget. If you throw out a huge deficit, you have to finance it. So you have to throw out, you go to the market, you will not be able to finance and put further pressure on the market. So, as I've said, we'll front load the fiscal consolidation on expenditure base. So let's introduce the budget, and when we introduce the budget, we'll know the financing needs, and we'll make sure that we'll be able to finance our budget. But there are options. We'll work with our development partner, both domestic and external. We'll be able to tap into the financing, our financial request from
10 billion without borrowing. This 10 billion, you had indicated to me earlier that you will present your plan to Parliament, and in that we'll know as a House how much you intend to raise each year. Now, you are so sensitive to your debt servicing strategy. Now, how do you intend to still achieve this without borrowing?
Mr. Chairman, I've never said we are not going to borrow. Fiscal deficit you throw out. If you throw out a fiscal deficit of 10% of GDP, you have to finance the 10%. Why are you financing the 10% or long dated? Is it external or kind of? So I'm saying that your concern will be dealt. So let's look at the options available. But all of this will depend on your financing needs. So for us, fiscal discipline will be the anchor. And we'll be mindful of the market needs and what the market can accommodate.
Thank you.
Chairman.
I thought you said 2 questions.
No, there was a follow-up. Chairman,
is that the last question?
The nominee has addressed us on some key issue. He is aware that a key development partner, the IMF, entered into some agreement with us. And in that agreement, they required of us to put in place certain measures. He is aware that the e-levy has been captured as part of our revenue sources in this agreement with the IMF. So, government really has no unfettered discretion. How do you justify the repealing of these tax laws without hurting the very agreement that you have with the IMF? You think, in other words, you think that you can freely repeal these tax laws and without introducing a new revenue measure, the fund will be happy breaching an existing agreement with them? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, the IMF did not ask the FACU to introduce e-levy. The betting tax was also introduced by yourselves, not the IMF, not an IMF prescription. The IMF will give you a fiscal deficit to achieve. It is up to you how you achieve it, and we'll do just that.
Yeah, let me say this. Okay, sure.
But let me say this, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, the NDC government recognizes that there is an IMF program. We are committed to implement the IMF program. We are also committed to achieve the objectives of the IMF program. We are not going to International Monetary Fund. Today, and so we implement the IMF program. We are not running away from that. And so whatever it takes, we will not run away from the implementation of the IMF program. And we'll implement it to the latter and achieve the objectives of the IMF program.
So, Chair, in these tax laws, these taxes that he considers them nuisance, repealing them without introducing new taxes or other forms of taxes in their place will not amount to breaching the IMF agreement?
Mr. Chairman, you can rake in other place these taxes you are removing.
Finally, foreign exchange regime. As finance minister, what is the alternative you will pursue? Because it's not just enough to say that you will depart from the existing foreign exchange regime. The country will have policy, which policy will help to address the currency depreciation and build more foreign exchange buffers. We would want to know from you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, the Bank of Ghana has the mandate to deal with our foreign as a minister responsible for finance. I don't want to make policies or policy proposals that will tie the monetary policy regime, bank, and the governor or the next governor to be able to have the power to deal with the monetary policy, particularly the management of our foreign exchange. But I'm on record to have said that the Bank of Ghana alone cannot be left to anchor the currency. It doesn't mean we are going to micromanage. So we'll coordinate effectively with the central bank to be able to manage Ghana's foreign exchange regime. That I know we will do.
Chairman, Leader, your manifesto did not say that this is a mandate of the central bank. You will come up with a lead policy, which policy have a far-reaching consequences on the economy. The central bank would only so directs or chooses. So I think that to run away from it may be a bit of that this is a matter for the central bank. Please, at the time you crafted this and engraved same in your policy, you knew what you wanted to achieve. The people of Ghana do not want to get the impression that authority that this is what you are going to do. So I want to know from you whether indeed, as the head of the Exchequer, you are committed to this.
When I was trying to refer you to the constitutional provision of the Bank of Ghana. And we all know that the Constitution mandates the central bank to manage. Our manifesto, we announce our economic policies. And you know that it takes both monetary and fiscal to manage the economy. It's not only the Ministry of Finance that manages the economy. And so it's the two of us. And so, Mr. Chairman, I want to jealously guard the independence of the central bank when it comes to monetary policy formulation. Monetary policy formulation and the management of the foreign exchange. That is in their purview. Let's respect it. Allow the next governor or the governor to deal with it.
Leader, you said two more.
Chairman.
And you've asked three. You have a further question.
Chairman, since the nominee has referred us to the Constitution, and we also have the manifesto promise of his party, the nominee knew that the foreign exchange regime, the policy under the control of this in a manifesto, that reference, and you're on record to have chastised the former finance minister, Mr. Kenuforiata, when we had issues with our currency. The blame was on him as the finance minister. I remember the famous Ken Must Go. I remember. Oh, can I finish? Oh, the duty, a certain British politician once said the duty of His Majesty's opposition leader is to oppose. Rather, and we are opposing with all the energy in us, and we are being reasonable. But
let's take the last question.
Please, let's finish this.
Nobody is talking. You have the microphone.
Okay, I hear you. Thank you. So my question to you is this: when we had the depreciation of the cedi, your side, the cedi, to you, it wasn't about Bank of Ghana. And I'm saying that today, in your manifesto, you have re-echoed that same policy. And if you are now going to quote the Constitution to say that that is going to be the responsibility of Central Bank, then my question to you is that, did you mislead the Ghanaian people when you engraved that in your manifesto?
Mr. Chairman, that is inaccurate. Mr. Chairman, let me also refer you to the same Constitution, Article 184. Mr. Chairman, it says the following shall apply to the Governor of the Bank of Ghana. He shall be appointed by the President, acting in consultation with the Council of State for a period of 4 years. The Chairman deals in the vision of the President in foreign exchange, in the foreign exchange management. The President has a social contract. It's exactly that. And so, Mr. Chairman, we have not heard the same Constitution talking about the mandate of the Central Bank says that the President must appoint the Governor. And so you have to appoint someone who subscribes to your ideals, someone who buys into your vision. And so he's going to appoint someone he believes will do what it takes. And so that will be done. That will be done.
Thank you very much.
You are going to, Chairman, he's introduced an important matter.
He's going home. Central mismanagement. The mismanager of the bank, not the manager.
Telling us, but I know he has had his 2 terms, 2 maximum terms, and he has some months to go. So
we need some protection here. The majority, exactly. Honorable nominee.
Chairman, I have a point of order.
Honorable nominee, you are telling the committee that the governor has some few months to go. I want to ask you that this new appointment you are referring to, would it be after his retirement?
Honorable members, in a period, it will come to an end. As whether when exactly it will end is not a question for the nominee to be asked.
Chairman, I think your ranking member is done.
Yes. To ask a question, but I have no question for the nominee. I will use the period to acknowledge the presence of some guests in our midst who are here to give moral support to the nominee. They are Nana Efua Esiwa II, Paramount Queen Mother Ejumako, Ama Forson, sister to the nominee, Kwesi Forson, Kojo Forson, brothers to the nominee, Sechiwa Claudia, sister, Reverend Pa Kojo, brother, Mr. Afrifa, brother, Professor Ferdinand Ahiakpo, staff, James Ajeni Mbotin, staff, and Professor Jonathan Annan, Jumako Enye. Honourable members, let me use the opportunity to thank the nominee for attending upon the committee. Honourable Minister Designate, you are discharged, but you will surely hear from the committee. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I just want to say a word. Mr. Chairman, today you serve
sensitive position.
in a very sensitive position. I recognize that. Thank you.
Yeah. Honourable members, we'll have 30 minutes break. 30 minutes. 30 minutes.